My friend and I are a duo with over 30,000 hours in ARK. We both have spent a large portion of our time moderating, being admins, and running clusters. We understand the unique challenges that come with maintaining a community of players and the back-end logistics involved. We are passionate about the ARK community and the ARK modding community, and we want to continue to see it grow despite the many challenges it faces. The saturation of the server list, the bureaucracy with wildcard and snail games, as well as the exhaustion of the ARK community as a whole, has driven us to work together on a project that is as equally fun as it is important to us. With that said, we've developed a rating system to audit your favorite unofficial clusters. We want to be clear that this is never intended to damage a community, only promote growth, whether that means the population or the server itself. These opinions are our own, and our humor can be a bit crude. However, we do try to judge things as fairly as possible based on how the server advertises itself. Each cluster will be rated on a scale of 0 to 10 dodos, 0 being the worst and 10 being the best. Each dodo represents a specific aspect of the cluster to include the community and Discord, the shop, the rates, startup, mods, loot drops, performance, progression, moderation, and whether we feel like you can get to a boss fight in a reasonable amount of time. Throughout the rating, we'll break it down for you so you can understand our reasoning for the ratings that we choose. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Venom.
And I'm Sadie.
And we're
the
auditors.
Today we're auditing Men at Work Gaming, aka MOG. MOG is a no-wipe PvP cluster with offline raid protection enabled. It is a 5x cluster overall, with 10x breeding rates. They offer a beginner server that wipes monthly to help players get a good start.
Alright, so Sadie, how did you feel about the community and the Discord?
I thought there was a lot of engagement with the admins specifically. Like, I like to creep around in the Discord and be kind of like a silent observer. So I went and poked around in a lot of the threads and saw a lot of their interactions and things like that. And they overall seem really responsive when people have questions and even just like conversation in general. So like, I really appreciated that. Like, they do seem to care about their community. And even when people were kind of like, you know, being crybabies, they would, do their best to coddle them, it seemed. But just like the overall community, like server wide, I was really impressed to see that there's constantly there's always somebody online. Like the server population for ASA is pretty healthy. Like, I was constantly seeing 7 people online on, most of the servers at any given time, and bases, active bases all over the place, which is kind of uncommon to see nowadays if you're playing unofficial servers.
Yeah, since a lot of the updates have happened, it's kind of like, I don't really want to say it's gone downhill, but it kind of has. ARK as a whole, both ASE and ASA especially. So I totally see that. One thing I did notice about the Discord that I wasn't super thrilled about was channel organization. But I definitely agree with you that the community itself seems pretty healthy. So, but the channel organization got me.
I agree with you there. Like, the Discord in general could use a little bit of love. I did have a hard time sometimes navigating where I wanted to be. And I don't know if that's just like me, like my own preference. I'm kind of like nitpicky about that.
I think the Discord and the community was pretty all right. Just the organization, like that time that when I was trying to sign up for the shop, it was really confusing because I didn't realize that it was in a thread within a channel, and that kind of threw us for a loop for a minute.
Speaking of the shop, how exactly do you feel about that shop?
For clarity, the first thing that I want to mention about the shop is there's real life currency in the website and there's token credits in the Discord. That can be pretty confusing because you're spending money in the website to use it in the Discord. But I don't like that you have to give personal information to sign up on the website. Like, I had to give my email address. There's some people who don't have an ARK specific email address. And whenever we were getting the starter kits and all that stuff, I had to give them my player ID with every single purchase. Like, I literally had to type it out every time. Being a PC player, that's not that big of a deal because I can just copy paste it after I, put it in my notes or something like that. But that's so much. I don't feel like you really have to do that. So, what's your take, Sadie?
I mean, overall, I think between the Discord and the online shop, it was a bit confusing and frustrating to navigate. And as someone who likes to contribute to the servers that I play on, it almost made it seem like more trouble than it was worth to like even want to go in and navigate it and put all my information in, my personal information, my email and stuff like that. So for me, it just really wasn't.
It took us about a good solid hour and a half just to figure it all out. And there wasn't really a whole lot of help. We followed the instructions to a T, and it didn't work in the game, which I think I know why, but it didn't work in the game, and then it didn't. It was just confusing. I don't like that shop construct. Not a fan.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. It was pretty frustrating. I did not have a good time with the shop at all.
And then the items that were in the shop, with being 5X, it was fairly balanced. I get that. The rate at which you're accruing tokens, because you can do the plus payday, that was helpful. But the rate at which you accrue tokens is not that fast. So it definitely keeps the grind into it. So I guess that's a plus side.
Yeah, I mean, and they do say the whole, they're not a pay-to-win server.
No pay-to-win, not now, not ever. We'll see about that.
Except if you want to buy 4,000 tokens for $20 or 2,000 tokens for $20 or alpha subscription for $25 a month.
What? So the other thing that I kind of enjoyed was the rates, the harvest, the XP, the breed, the maturation, the taming, and how balanced it was. How did you feel about that?
Well, the server does advertise itself as a 5X server, and it definitely was overall true to that. So based off of that, I was happy with how balanced it was, how quickly we were able to get started and the taming and everything, like the pace in which we were able to accomplish what we were able to accomplish was definitely on par. So, we were able to, get our little base set up. We got some dinos. We even obviously did breeding, and it definitely is true to what it says, even down to like the actual like breeding part of it, like the dinos getting down, the
I feel like that part could have been a little bit faster, like the actual mating timer. I have ADHD so bad that like I didn't even literally they would be halfway, or not even halfway, they'd be like at 20% mated, and I completely forgot that they were there, and then you'd come up and you're like, oh hey, look, an egg, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that I did that.
That's the thing though, is like there are some things, and I have to stay, like, if they're advertising themselves as a 5X. Nothing in there says 5X insta-tame, insta-breeding, anything like that. So it's like, I have to, like, stay absolutely true to that. They definitely seem to be very true to the 5X.
Yeah, for
which,
sure.
Although can be frustrating for somebody like me, where I put my dinos on breeding and poop me an egg right then and there.
Yeah.
I have to respect it. You know what I mean? So...
Yeah.
They were definitely true to that. The one thing, though, that I will say, I did not love the imprinting.
No, that kind of sucked. Because while it was fast, it still was just kind of like... Maybe I'm just a baby. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a spoiled brat.
So, I mean, as far as the cluster being beginner friendly, what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, The starter kit was booty. And I know that we talked about it in the middle of gameplay. Like, you'd said that you would have rather had the tools than the structures, I completely agree. A few foundations, a few walls, and a smithy. Like, we could have got that so fast. We could have got that way faster, actually, if we had just farmed it ourselves instead of waiting for it in the starter kit, because it took us so long to get it.
Right.
So the starter kit, not a fan. The starter shield, though, I like that. It gives you 14 days of basically invincibility within your little bubble. Nobody can go in it. Wilds can't go in it. And then if you're wiped, then you're able to get a 7-day version of that same thing. So I think that's really cool. And then on top of that, they have the beginner server that wipes once a month. So if you start out on this beginner server, you're doing your thing. At least the way that I understand it is you technically could get 6 full weeks of just being able to PvE it up, because you start for the full wipe of the beginner server, and then you go straight into having a 2-week shield on the main cluster. I think that's pretty cool. What did you think?
No, I mean, I completely agree. It is super beginner friendly, and we even did encounter PvP in the wild. We got clapped our second day. We just got destroyed by a guy on a griffin. So like, out in the wild you do still encounter PvP, but I mean,
yeah, but we could be wrong about the whole 1 month and then an extra 2 weeks. We could be wrong about that. There's not any specific like stipulations or explanation into that.
Yeah, but then people can also break rules and lose their PvE shields, because that is a stipulation. If you engage it or try to raid somebody's base, you do lose the privilege of having the anti-raid shield and stuff.
How did you feel about how the mods were? Did you feel like any were excessive, or were they balanced?
I mean, as a console player, I appreciate not having a ton of mods. And it was like easy for me to get on this server. I didn't have a whole lot to download, so I was getting like up and running quickly. However, I have mad beef with cyber structures. I wish they used a better mod for their structures, but at this point, they're probably in so deep with it.
Yeah.
And being a no wipe cluster, everybody already has all of them. Like, they're using it so deeply. To choose a different structure mod would be so difficult that they literally can't unless they wiped their whole cluster. And I hope if they ever do wipe, they don't choose cyber structures.
I see the vision. Beef. I see the vision, and that's why we switched to Shiny's better structures, because which technically we have a different version of Shiny's better structures, because it's like a community mod.
Shout out Shiny's better structures. Shout
out Shiny's better structures. He is such a great person, and he really cares. He's been modding since ASE, and he really knows what he's doing. And that's why I appreciate having that structure mod so much more, because it has the best parts of cyber structures without having the baggage of all the other stuff that people like me and you don't really need, like having a healing pad and stuff like that. Which,
game breaking stuff.
You can totally disable engrams on certain things, 100%.
Yes.
However, it's got to a point where there's so much in it. It's a big mod. At what point are you disabling more than you are keeping? And I did notice that one thing I thought was actually kind of cool is in their shop, they had nannies and they had nannies, gardeners, and farmers, so that you could automate your stuff, which I like. But we weren't able to get to that point in like the 20-25 hours that we spent on the server, because you only get 10 credits per hour. So,
right, exactly.
But I felt like the mods and everything were balanced too. I enjoyed the fact that there were minimal mods. As a PC player, that's not really an issue for me. But I feel like the way that they were being used was good.
What about the drop quality? How did we feel about that?
The amount of times that I heard you say, I don't know if I should be happy to see a drop or unhappy. And but like to a point it kind of like you wanted to give up getting drops, but at the same time it was like, but what if there's something in there? And
Now I understand gambling addiction.
yeah,
I do.
I mean sometimes
Like, I really do.
because like we got a freaking a Spino saddle out of a drop, a Spino saddle blueprint. And don't get me wrong, like it sucked. It was an Ascendant saddle blueprint, which you never really want those. You want the the Mastercraft or the Apprentice, or not Apprentice. You know what I mean? Whatever. But Joni man. So that one. So it was still a shit blueprint, but when you're just starting out and you need something like some sort of better saddle, yeah, you're gonna grind a little bit harder for it, but that'll enable you to go into caves and do your cave runs and stuff like that, or even go into a boss fight fairly early. It helps, and with the rates, it's not that bad to farm it up if you know what you're doing. So I think that the drops were meh. They were very meh.
These drops, I swear to God, I didn't know how to feel. Like, they had me feeling abused because I didn't know if I was going to go to a blue drop and I was going to find a bunch of wood structures, or I was going to find an Ascendant Therizino blueprint and be thrilled to death. Like, nuts. You would find the most random stuff in drops. Like, I went to Scorched Earth and I was like, I'm gonna go farm some silk. And I was like, we really need some silk. And just on a whim, I was like, oh, I wonder what this white drop is. I bet it's a bunch of garbage.
Because we've gotten some that had only thatch in it, like thatch structures.
And it was and it was literally the most customized drop I ever seen on this whole entire cluster. It was a white drop full of silk. And that was all that was in it. And it was like 5,000 silk, and I didn't understand it. It was this Men at Work gave me what I needed in a time of need.
As far as the other aspects, server performance, I feel like it was actually fairly decent, which is surprising. I mean, I was actually shocked because we went into this thinking it was a dedicated server, and we find out that it was an Atrado server. And
shocked.
Yeah, I mean, I was like stunned. I personally had really horrible experience with Astraeus. I mean, I was framing. It was bad. But the rest of it was pretty good. It was pretty all right. Granted, with Shitrado, you're going to have so many issues down the line. Every time it updates, it's going to take a few hours for it to actually happen. But other than that, it really wasn't that bad. What did you think about the performance on your end?
Performance-wise, I had perfect performance. I never lagged. The server never dropped for me. Like, it was perfect the entire time.
I think realistically, out of everything on the server, the performance was probably one of the best things. I think the second, performance and progression, I would say probably the best things. So,
overall, how did you feel about the progression of the server?
I mean, realistically, the progression is with 5x. It's going to be fairly slow, but I think that it was still fair. It wasn't unbalanced. I felt like we were able to get to metal tier if we wanted to. We were able to get to a point where we had fairies and all that good stuff as well. It wasn't instant tame, so we had to actually sit there with the tames, and I feel like that was part of the nostalgia from ASE that you don't really get anymore in ASA.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that was part of the fun of it too, was that slower style progression. Because I always have more fun in that like mid game right there, that sweet spot right before you kind of hit tech when you're kind of
Yeah.
grinding for boss. That's always the funnest part of the game for me. So to be able to sit in that and kind of have fun, that adventure right there. So that progression, like we could get to boss fight really quickly if we
Yeah, for
wanted
sure.
to, but knowing that we could really take our time and enjoy that mid-level game was really, really fun. So yeah, I enjoyed the progression for sure. I thought it
Yeah,
was really
for sure.
balanced considering, they advertised as a 5x server. It was definitely a 5x server, so
I think the shield definitely it played a part in that because we were able to sit there and kind of, I don't know, marinate in the mid game. It was fun, like
Yep.
being able to do that. And I think it's really important to note too that the player and the dino stats weren't too boosted, but they were just boosted enough. So it still had a little bit of that ASE nostalgia to it, where you're unofficial and stuff like that. But it was still pretty balanced. I liked it. As far as the moderation goes, I know that you seem to have good experiences. Tell me about that a little bit.
Except for the one time when we were reading the rule and it said not to message Jet specifically, and it made me really want to message Jet.
Okay, let's read the rules.
Okay, I'm ready.
Don't DM at admin or at any staff members, especially Jet.
Because he'll kill you.
Who's Jet? We are here to play and relax, not stress.
As long as you don't message Jet directly. I mean, as far as direct interaction with the moderation, I didn't have a lot of that. But, as I observed throughout the Discord, it did seem like they were really active within their community and they were quick to respond to people within the chat. So I really like to see that when, multiple admins are kind of stepping in to ask questions and be responsive to their community. So I like to see that. But I know you kind of had more of a direct interaction via, a little ticket situation. So what was your experience there?
Well, to kind of build off what you said, I definitely like to see active admins. People advertise all the time, oh, we have active admins, but it's more of just kind of like nobody believes you at this point. But I believe that a big part of moderation is the server setup itself. There were new Ingrams that aren't set to auto unlock like the rest of them. It's very clear that they were going for an auto unlock situation. But the Meguana came out with Astreus and it doesn't have auto unlock on the saddle, which tells me that it hasn't been checked since then. And that's been a while. And with how active the admins are, that came off surprising because I would wager a bet that it was just overlooked. But on top of that, usually advertising falls on cluster owners and staff. I thought it was interesting that I only saw advertising on the official ARK Discord. But it was twice a day, like clockwork. And that's some dedication. I mean, whether it was a bot or not, we don't know for sure, but that's pretty cool. But another thing I wanted to highlight was the response rate for the tickets. Like you said, I put in a ticket for the new player shield, and I had a response within an hour or so. And they were pretty, they were pretty cool about it. Like I would say they were professional about it. But they were very clear. They very clearly care about their community, which is definitely commendable. You don't see a whole lot of actual active adminship, so I thought that was really dope.
Yeah.
But then, going into the other topic that we have, the very last topic we have to talk about, how did you feel about the whole rate of going into the boss fights?
I mean, especially if you're not able to get into a boss fight within a week of casually playing this server with all of the, protections that are in place and the rates that are at, I mean, either you're not experienced at playing this game or you just really don't know what you're doing. I mean, any experienced ARK player, even a casual gamer that's doing this after work, you should be able to get to a boss fight within a week, I
Yeah, for
think.
sure.
So, I mean, I think that getting to it within a reasonable amount of time, just playing casually as this kind of server is set up to be intended, I think absolutely reasonable. You know, like I said, as a casual person, you're getting to it in a very reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, we definitely could have completed a boss fight if we'd had the drive to farm up the tributes. Because all of the boss fights were vanilla to summon. So when the artifact caves weren't blocked off, they weren't allowed to be built in. So that was a major plus when it comes to that. Being able to defeat the bosses within a starter period with the shield is important because you have to be able to compete once that period is over. You know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I feel like they did pretty good overall. So I guess let's take it to the ratings. Get some ratings. Let's start with the rates. My rating for the rates is 9.
All right, my rating for that, I gave that an 8.
That's a dodo.
That's a solid ass dodo right
That's
there.
a freaking deal with a dodo.
As far as being beginner friendly, I gave that one an 8.
I'm gonna give it a 6, and that averages out to be another dodo.
All right, perfect.
Mods, I give that an 8.
I agree with you there. I'm also going to go ahead and give that one an 8.
Yeah, another deal with a dodo.
And server performance, I gave it 10. I gave it a 10.
A 10. I give it a 9 because Estrellas hurt my feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
And then for the progression, I rarely give a 10, but I'm giving it 10.
I gave it an 8.5.
Oh my god, there's another dodo. And then the moderation, I give that a 7.
I gave it a 7.5.
That's a whole dodo.
And then as far as being able to achieve boss fight in a decent time, I gave that an 8.5.
An 8.5. I give that a 10 as well.
Sounds like a full dodo.
That's a full dodo. So for the community in the Discord, I rate that a 4 just because I feel like the Discord could use a bit more work.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I gave that one a 7. I was a little bit more lenient on that one, but averaging it out sounds like that's only a half of a dodo.
That is a half dodo. For the drops,
that one, it was a little bipolar. I only gave it a 6.
I also give it a 6. So that is another half dodo. And guess what? 1 plus 1 is 2.
That's well, 1 half plus 1 half equals 1 full.
Yeah. You know what I mean. And then for the shop, I gave that a 2.
I was a little more generous and gave it a 3.
Generous is crazy. All right, so that gives a no dodos.
That's a no dodos.
So here we are with a total of 8 dodos. Some of them are deal with dodos. We don't have any party dodos up there, so yeah.
That's an 8 out of 10 server right there. I'd say you get our stamp of approval.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right. Well, catch us next time that we rate, audit, it.
Auditors.
We are the auditors.
Auditors.
Yes.
We almost did it.
We are the auditors, and we will be auditing other servers. So, you'll be wiped. Mass breeding is not allowed. If any of your actions cause a server to crash, you will be banned. But what if it's an accident? That happens all the time.
Maybe we need to cause an accident and see how they react. You know what I'm really upset about is the very first rule when they said don't DM admins or any staff. They didn't specify specifically Jet.
They didn't. I think
And so
I'm just saying, if I hadn't
I
seen
think
the
we should
first
make a
one,
ticket.
if I hadn't seen the first one, then
I'm
I would be messaging Jet right now. I'm just saying.
the
I'd be
skibbity
messaging-
toilet.
Dude, I saw that. I don't know what the hell that is, but I want it. I need to know what it is.
Yeah, I gotta look at it a little bit deeper.
I need to know what all the kids are talking about, man.
Skibbity dop dop dop. Yes, yes. Skibbity topple dip dip. Skibbity dop dop. Yes, skibbity topple dip dop dip dop. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Works just like a normal toilet, just with more skibbity.
My fucking dragon stepped on my keyboard. And he whistled follow all in the middle of the base. It wasn't even bound. I don't know how it happened. And then he clicked the up button on my keyboard. So there I am staring at the sky. Every time I try to look down, I can't. And I can't figure out why.